everyone doing tonight? My name is Jake. I have a story to tell you. It was 2014, I think, Temple University, and it was October 31st, and it was Halloween. And I started off the night not having a costume. I was very embarrassed. And me and a friend, we ran to CVS, but all the good stuff had been taken. So there was only 2 blonde curly wigs left. And we're very cheap, so we didn't afford to pay for anything else. But we had decided that we would dress up as ladies. And we put on these 2 blonde wigs, and just as we were leaving, we scoured the place and looked for, better costumes. But we decided we were going to be drunk girls just trying to get home. And that's not a funny thing. And I learned that. We ran around town. We were having fun because we didn't have a party to go to yet, so we were kind of drunk, and we would just be like, Hannah, wait up! Oh my God! And it was very offensive and stupid, and people scoffed at us and stuff like that, and made sense. I found a party to go to though later, and I went alone. We split up, and I got there earlier than anyone else. I was an underclassman. They were all older, so a bunch of people kind of came in. I was back there. I was waiting to explain it. No one really thought it was that funny. So I was disappointed in that. And I found this. I didn't have any alcohol, too, because I was an underclassman. So I went to this backpack that was just lying around. And it had blackberry whiskey in it. And I picked it up, and I sipped it, because I'm smart. And didn't know the people in the house very well. They all seemed nice enough. Everyone had great costumes. Everyone was super sweet. And I did know some of the older people who arrived. But pretty soon I started feeling kind of nauseous and loose. And I felt real warm. I felt like all of myself was going into into my belly button, pretty much. And so I sat, but I was feeling woozy enough, so that I kind of leaned up on the back of the wall. And once people were filing in, I was like, hi, as people walked in. But I'd just been sort of playing with my belly button until I blacked out. And it was very red when I woke. I'll get to that. But apparently I had no memory. I came in and out of it, but a lot of people, I was in bad shape, and a lot of people didn't know because they were like, oh, he's just a drunk guy, he's just, God, he's an underclassman. He must be just really drunk. But it turns out it was likely Rufalin, which is, as many of you may be familiar with that, or it could have been Klonopin. But whatever it was, I have no memory of that night. I ran out, apparently. I was tons of fun, everyone told me. But I had no memory, so I was real scared. And I ran out into the street, and I screamed, I'm an infant boy! And this was in North Philadelphia. It was in Girard. It was about 2 in the morning. And I had unbuttoned at that point everything, and so I was a half-naked man with a blonde wig running out. And later, though, I came across, I was sort of running up Broad, and apparently I had found, my other friend found me. I was telling you about him in the morning. I was like, I had no idea what happened. He's like, you realize you saw me, right? But I was running away from one group, and then he was the other group passing, and I ran past them both, and they both ran into each other, and I'm like, what do we do? And they're like, just let him go. And we, so I'm running down the street, and in the morning, because that's all I remember, I woke up with a cheap cowboy hat on my head, and unopened Jimmy John's sandwich, and one bite out of a cookie. And I felt awful. I felt worse than I've ever felt in my entire life. It was terrible. So I walked out on the street, still the cowboy hat on my head and kind of delirious. Ran into a guy at 6 in the morning standing outside. And he was like, hey man, you all right? And I'm like, I'm better than I've ever been. But he later that day, it just got worse and worse. The headache just was terrible. I called my doctor. I was super upset. I didn't know what happened. I called my friends. They didn't know what to tell me because I just left them. Then I ran into a homeless man who was asking for money. And he was like, hey, excuse me, do you have, oh, I know you. And I was like, oh, you do? And I was like, what? How do you know me? He's like, you came up to me last night. And I was like, no way. And I was like, how was it? And he was like, you were wearing a cowboy hat on your head. And I was like, yeah, that's me. And then he was like, you were saying a bunch of stuff, and then you said a bunch of other stuff. And I was like, that sounds like me. And then we kind of bonded for that, and I went back home. I got real nervous, but what I owe from this also is realizing I owe the person whoever left behind that bag. It was trying to roofie someone else, and they got me instead. And I became that drunk girl just trying to get home. And it was terrifying. It was bad. No one knew what to do. No one was everyone was just like, oh my God, he's so much fun. And I hope that in any capacity, if you ever see anyone and they're having too good of a time and they've got a red as hell belly button and they're just acting strange and you can lend a hand, please do. Because I'm lucky to be alive. Thank you.